All right, it's indeed a very, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of The Tackle. It is the 30th of August 2022, tarehe 30 mwezi wa 8 mwaka 2022. The special edition of The Tackle is coming right up to you from Nairobi, Kenya. But you have a guest who is coming in from Ontario, Canada. That is Daktari MIGUNA. You're going to have a very brief conversation with him. I think since also the timings are very different from where he is and where we are, we seem to be having a small confusion in timings. But you're going to have a very quick conversation together for the next around 30 minutes, or if he allows us 40 minutes, about the issues that are happening in the country. We're having a Supreme Court hearing on the petition of Raila Odinga versus William Ruto and IEBC, and it's helping us as well to put it into perspective. It also helps us to understand the electoral process. How has it been like? Is it justified that we're having these cases, and what exactly do we expect? He is a man of repute in law and also in politics, and he'll help us to understand this and put it more into perspective. So please join in as usual. When you join in, when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is Gerald Bitok, and you're coming in live with Daktari MIGUNA all the way from Ontario, Canada. Good afternoon, Daktari.
Here is morning, but good evening, good afternoon on your side.
You get confused a little bit on time on this other side. Imagine that maybe if it's evening, it's also evening everywhere. If it's morning everywhere. You can help us to understand the timings more. It's a pleasure to have you. Finally, we've been trying to reach out to you for a year now.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I was not able to join in before, but we are on.
Yes. Finally, we're here. So I know you're not a new man, so we cannot say we're going to introduce you, but you want to get straight into business. It's been 5 years since you left the country. Not you left, but since you were taken out of the country, because you never left willingly. It's 5 years down the line. We are getting into another electoral cycle. How does that make you feel as a Kenyan at this point? How do you feel about the whole thing?
Bizarre, because clearly I would have preferred to be in Kenya. In fact, I wanted to run for public office.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've been denied that right because it is a right denied. But I hope that in the fullness of time, accountability and justice will obtain.
Have you tried to come back again after the 5 years?
I don't think that is a question you should ask me. I think everybody, even small children, know. I was there in Kenya in 2018 when I was sedated and removed unconscious from the country.
Yeah.
And every single year, you know that I have tried to come and they have refused to allow me in. So that's something that's not a question that I think should be fairly asked of me. I shouldn't even try, because I should not have been removed from the country. So why should I try to come back? I should never have left. I should never have been removed, right? Because I didn't book a flight and leave. I've traveled for more than 40 years, and not one time did I ask them to buy for me a ticket or to put me in a plane. Yeah, I'm an adult of sound mind. I should be able to travel in and out of the country as everybody else, as provided for in the Constitution.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We just concluded an election that you've been very actively part on. Despite you being outside the country, you've been very active in the political scene on what has been going on. You've been commenting on it and also giving your advisory and whatever you're dissatisfied with. Now, we've just concluded the election. I don't know, in your own judgment, how was the election? In your own personal judgment as MIGUNA.
Even though I'm here, I mean, I did vote.
Yes.
The voting was peaceful, was uneventful. It was like any other democratic exercise. And I believe more than any other time, this time, the election was conducted in a very fair, transparent, and credible manner. As a voter, I did not notice anything that I should been worried about. I cast my vote like everybody else. The polls closed, the votes were counted, the tallies were registered, and they were sent to the National Tallying Center. Because from abroad, we only voted for the presidential candidates. So we were the next constituency after the Kenyan ones.
Okay. So you believe the election was credible and verifiable. That's what you said in your opinion as a voter. You give it a clean bill of health.
It was more than credible and verifiable. The election was free, fair, transparent, credible, and verifiable.
Okay. All right, so getting back to it, you've given it a clean bill of health. We were also part of an election in 2017 that you disputed rightfully. You said this election was bogus. You went ahead and was part of a revolution, NRM. Now you're giving this election a clean bill of health from an experience of a bad election. Now, is that informed by your issues with where you were in 2017, or it's a clean commentary on the electoral process? Because we still have the same people who disputed with you in 2017 disputing again today.
Mr. Bitok, you know that I'm not a man who goes by any wave. Because in 2017, I actually voted for Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto.
Okay.
So if I was going by the wave, I would have been happy that they were declared president-elect and deputy president-elect. But despite my voting for them, I knew that the elections were fraudulent, and I resisted it as such.
Okay.
So I am never wavered. I am never influenced by my personal interest. It's based on my objective observation. I was there in Kenya. I voted in Kenya. I opposed Raila Odinga and his candidates, but I believe in 2017 he won.
Okay.
And the election was stolen. That I still believe. Right now, I believe otherwise.
Okay.
I was also a voter. I have observed the election. And I believe this time Raila Odinga lost fair and square.
Okay. Right. We have a process that's running now from the appeal that has been lodged in by the Azimio coalition, Raila Odinga, against William Ruto and IEBC. We also have the commissioners who are supporting in with the affidavits. We had what we call the pre-trial today. Many Kenyans have been struggling with what actually a pre-trial is. Maybe you can help us just define it briefly. What's a free trial?
Well, the word pre means before.
Yes.
So something that precedes the trial. It's a management conference. It's like a trial management conference. Like any conference, it is convened by the moderator, which is the Supreme Court of Kenya, chaired by the Chief Justice with 6 other judges.
Yeah.
So basically what they do, like in any other case management, is to, number one, deal with preliminary issues. Those are the ones they call interlocutory matters or motions, applications, any issue that needs to be dealt with before the trial proper begins.
Okay.
For instance, who are the parties? Who represents them? What are the issues in this petition? That is done at the pre-trial conference. They also allocate time for each party and each party's lawyer, so that there is efficiency in the management of time, so that within the days remaining, because their decision have to be made within 14 days from the day the first petition was filed. So after the elections, the parties had 7 days. After the first petition was filed, the court has 14 days to render, 14 days to render a decision. So because the first petition was filed a few days ago, the court has very limited time remaining.
Okay.
So the court has to convene a conference and to be able to manage that time. So that's what a pre-trial conference is.
Okay. It's setting the tempo for the case in that case. Now, within the pre-trial that we are today, there has been an order that has been made that 15 polling stations should go back into a ballot recount. Many Kenyans are asking, is there a foul play in this? What are the loopholes that could be available? At what point do we make such an order, or does a court make such an order? And what are the consequences thereof that could come out of this?
So usually, if you see, there were over 14 million voters.
Yes.
So there are over 14 million different ballot papers. It's not humanly conceivable or possible for anyone or any court to go through 14 million ballots in 14 days. And now it's less than 14 days. It's completely humanly impossible. It's actually humanly impossible for them to go through those pieces of paper in 6 months.
Okay.
So what you do if you believe that serious issues have been raised with respect to the polling or the tallying is that you can select samples of those places that questions have been raised about.
Okay.
And you say, okay, you say that there was a problem here. Let's go and see if that problem randomly pertains to this specific polling stations or polling centers or constituencies.
Okay.
I think that's what the court is trying to do. The problem with that is that we know, for instance, that the IEBC, even though independent and should be managing its facilities and the management of the elections independently, it does not control the physical facilities where these ballot boxes are.
Okay.
The state does. The IEBC does not have a police force.
Okay.
The IEBC does not have NIS, National Intelligence Service. The IEBC does not control the civil service. Unfortunately, in Kenya, all these institutions of state and government are now arraigned against the president-elect.
Okay.
They are controlled by the outgoing president, Uhuru Kenyatta, at State House. Uhuru Kenyatta has declared that he would not hand over to William Ruto. William Ruto is the one who has been declared president-elect. It is in Uhuru Kenyatta's interest to deliberately muddy the waters by opening those boxes that he controls and putting, say, fake ballot papers or forms that do not have the security features that they should have in order to validate and support the petition so that the Supreme Court could nullify the election. That is my only worry, that the integrity and the security and safety of the ballot boxes cannot be guaranteed. And in view of the intervention, illegal intervention and interference by members of the National Security Advisory Committee, which is a committee directly under the president, and that he ordered to go and direct Chebukati not to declare William Ruto as president-elect from the credible, audio recordings that have been circulating. I am concerned that the same elements would have done this because this is the outcome that they would have wanted, a nullification, so that they can mess up with any fresh elections or any other, orders that the court would make, for example, a runoff. That's my only concern. But if somebody can actually give me evidence that these ballot boxes are safe and secure, and that these schemers and co-conspirators have not managed to get access to these boxes, then I would have no concern.
Okay. How possible is it? How possible is it to access this ballot? Because I want to imagine that there must be some security measures to it. And also the ballot papers, does it have its defining? Because I understand they have its defined serial numbers. Is it possible then to mix up the two of them and come up with a different number?
My friend, we cannot be naive. This is a banana republic. In fact, it is worse than a banana republic because Tuju has not been arrested. Rafael Tuju, the Secretary General of Jubilee, no, he resigned, but he's the CEO of Azimio, is on record, and he has not denied it, attempting to interfere with the electoral process, either bribing and threatening Chebukati. That's what Amos Wako did. That's what Charity Ngilo did. That's what Kihara did with his team, where a uniformed general, the deputy chief of defense staff, goes to the chairman of an electoral commission, an independent electoral commission, with the threats. Where in the world do you have a uniformed general go to an electoral body which is in the process of exercising its mandate, constitutional mandate, to conduct a credible election, in order to quote unquote warn him of possible security breaches that may occur if one candidate is declared a winner and the other one is not. I tend to believe Chebukati because they have confirmed that they went to meet with him. They ought not to have gone to meet with him. They were not Raila Odinga's presidential agents. They were not candidates in this election. And there is no reason, they were not even observers. There is absolutely no reason why a general goes to meet with the chair of IEBC. Kenya was not at war with any country, and if Kenya was at war, it should have been in the theater of war, not in a civilian facility issuing threats on behalf of a president who does not want to leave power. So that's my concern.
Okay, that's your concern, that they could go out of their way to push.
No, not that it could go out of their way. That there would be deliberate interference with the ballot papers.
Okay, all right. Now,
let's not fudge around. Let's not meander around it. This is a very serious matter. This is an attempted coup, which already happened. I'm not making a claim of something that has not happened. Uhuru Kenyatta issued his threats. Uhuru Kenyatta carried out his threats through the National Security Advisory Committee. They have not denied it. They have even filed affidavits at the Supreme Court to further, accentuate or achieve their end. I don't know if they're doing the same thing with the Supreme Court.
Okay. There are two things that you've raised then. One of them is the independence of institutions in Kenya. We talk about IEBC represents Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. We have other institutions as well, like the police, which is a security wing that should be independent as well. Do you believe in the spirit and the letter of independence in institutions in Kenya? Do you think that exists really?
It ought to exist. Of course, it doesn't exist, but it ought to exist. It's guaranteed in law and in the Constitution. They are given their independence from the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law. Nobody is above the law. So if someone is subverting the Constitution and the rule of law, which we have evidence they are, I would want them apprehended, charged, tried to the full extent of the law, and punished. In the fullness of time, they will be. I have no doubt. In the fullness of time, they will be.
But at the moment, there's none.
Right now, they can't, because the person who is supposed to be facilitating that is the one perpetuating impunity, and that is Uhuru Kenyatta.
I'm not a lawyer, but I understand that the law says whoever seeks equity must come with clean hands. Moses Kuria filed a petition that an affidavit that he had taken it to Supreme Court. It has been thrown out. It is the same issue that you're raising, that Azimio didn't have the credibility of filing a case regarding the issues that you mentioned in terms of electoral malpractices and violation of electoral rules. Do you think it was right then to throw out the MK case, Moses Kuria's case?
No, you mischaracterized what I said. I did not say Azimio had no credibility to bring a case. Raila Odinga was a candidate in this election. He has a right to file a petition. That right is unfettered, meaning that it cannot be limited. Nobody can tell him you cannot file a case. So is a voter like myself. We all had a right to file a case if we wanted to, right? Now, the problem with Moses Kuria is the issues that he raised. I think the Supreme Court made the right decision in Moses Kuria's case, but made the wrong decision in some other cases.
Okay.
For example, Gidongo's affidavit should have been struck because it's a double hearsay. Gidongo is not talking about something that he had personal knowledge about. He's talking about what he was told by somebody else who may have been told by somebody else. That somebody else should swear an affidavit and come before the court. So, but I know why the court did it. It will amount to nothing. The credibility of John Gidongo is in tatters, and there is no way that the court will give that evidence any weight. He has himself invalidated his evidence by saying that he gave illustrations of how the system could be penetrated, not that the system was penetrated. He himself is not an ICT expert, so he can't even give evidence as to how any system could be penetrated. He cannot even give evidence of how his backyard could be penetrated because he's not an expert in anything. So, but yes, Moses Kuria raised issues that fall within the jurisdiction, the mandate of the police and the DPP. The same way Raila Odinga has piles of evidence from the DCI, which should not be there, which should be struck. Because if the DCI believes that somebody has committed an offense by interfering with an election, they should take that evidence to the DPP for approval for that person to be arrested and prosecuted. They should not take that evidence in a civil court to support another person who is trying to nullify an election. So that's an abuse of the court process and an irregular use of one's office to facilitate something else that they should not do. So, but I think the court will deal with that. So no, I have no problem with the fact that the court struck out Moses Kuria's affidavit, because I think that Moses Kuria raised issues that the court had no jurisdiction over.
Okay. All right. The genesis of all this debacle and the pull and push within IEBC has been the 4 commissioners that left Bomas of Kenya during tallying and say that there was anomaly. There was a crime that was being committed at Bomas of Kenya in terms of tallying and all that, and that Chebukati was on the wrong. Now, what is the role of commissioners within the IEBC commission, and who calls the shots?
You see, this case is not about their role in the commission.
Okay.
This case is their role in a presidential election. They have no role in a presidential election. They have zero role in a presidential election.
Okay.
In a presidential election, the only person with a role to play under Article 138, 138.10 is the returning officer. And I'll read to you what it says.
Please.
It says, within 7 days after the presidential election, the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shall, it does not say will, shall, A, declare the result of the election, and B, deliver a written notification of the result to the Chief Justice and the incumbent president. So only 2 roles of Chebukati. Number 1, he must declare the results. It does not say the IBC, it does not say the commissioners. It says the chairman of the IEBC, which is Chebukati, as a returning officer, must declare those results. After he declares the results, he must prepare a certificate that he hands over to the Chief Justice and to the President outgoing. All right? Basically, if Chebukati, as he did, he declared the results, and if by this time he should have already handed over the certificate to the Chief Justice and Uhuru Kenyatta. That's it. So these shenanigans, these other propaganda, these games that are going on are not provided for in law. All right? And the Constitution is the supreme law. There is no requirement that he has to convene a meeting and that they have to moderate results or they have to agree on results with the other commissioners. You cannot change the results as declared in each polling station. That was the Supreme Court decision in the Maina Kiai case in 2017. The court has not vacated that decision or revised it. So it remains the governing law.
All right. Okay. Now we are at the final stage of the petition, that is the Supreme Court, of course, and we expect a ruling from the Supreme Court in 6 days, 5 days minus today. Do you believe in the credibility of the Supreme Court to offer a ruling that will be in the interest of the public, or a justifiable ruling? Do you believe in its integrity to operate on its own independently?
Well, the Supreme Court. So let's start at the theoretical level. The theoretical level is that, yes, the Supreme Court is independent. The Supreme Court is solely mandated with the role of determining, hearing and determining a presidential petition. And once it renders its decision, it's final. If it nullifies the declaration of the presidential returning officer of the president-elect, then they must order that there is fresh elections within 60 days. If they don't nullify the results, then the president-elect will be sworn in, okay? Shortly, in fact, should be sworn in immediately, but will probably be sworn in within 7 days. That's the law. As to whether or not I have confidence in this particular Supreme Court, I have my concerns. I think it is a very weak court. I think the Chief Justice is a very weak judge. I think there are other judges on that bench that are very weak. Weak intellectually, weak jurisprudentially, weak morally. Weak in the sense that they were put in those positions not because they were the most qualified Kenyans, but because of their political affiliations. Weak because their jurisprudential history, the history of their decisions, are not rigorous, do not show independence, do not show their commitment to the rule of law. That's my concern. But we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. And in view of their rulings on the BBI case, I believe that they are capable of looking at the evidence and arriving at a just decision. In my view, I do not believe, and I'm allowed to express my opinion.
Sure, this is the tackle.
I don't believe that they will nullify this election. Because none of the petitioners, number one, has stated that Raila Odinga won the election. Even Raila Odinga himself has conceded that he lost the election. So that's number one. Number two, none of them has dealt with the Form 34As and shown the level, the magnitude of irregularities that would change the result, or that would lead to an invalidation of the result. The allegations against Chebukati are pure propaganda. There is no evidence. They may not like his baldness, they may not like his color, they may not like his height, they may not like his comportment. Those are irrelevant. In my view, it would seem like Chebukati is the one that even saved 2017. It would appear that it was Chiloba who messed up 2017 election. It was Chebukati who tried to defend the credibility of the institution. Chebukati, we have to say, was the one who mourned Chris Musando, and he mourned Daniel Musyoka this time. None of these renegades even went to Musyoka's funeral, even though they're claiming to be IEBC senior officers. They did not even attend the funeral. They did not even condemn the murder. So, and it is Chebukati whom nobody has said was given any money.
Uh-huh.
And there is no proof, there is no evidence that he was bribed.
Uh-huh.
These other ones, their hotel rooms at Serena and in Masai Mara and in other places are paid for by Tuju.
Uh-huh.
Tuju gave them vehicles, gave them security, did everything.
Uh-huh.
All right?
Uh-huh.
Plus, of course, the people that were giving him money.
Uh-huh.
So clearly, if we have to look at this objectively,
uh-huh.
Chebukati has acquitted himself.
Okay. Chebukati has acquitted himself. Talking about Tuju, I don't know, did you pay attention to his press that he made the other day?
Yes, I did.
And he has tried to justify the meetings that he had with Chebukati, only saying that we got the timing wrong. It was 3 a.m., not 4 a.m. The head of security as well, the head of security council, that is Kenya, has come in and said, yes, we had a meeting, but we are concerned about the nation. Let's get back to you. What do you have to make about the meetings that they've been having with Chebukati, and also the admission of, the explanation they tried to make around it? What do you pick of this? What do you pick from this?
You see, I don't even think that Chebukati had a meeting with these people. They ambushed Chebukati.
Okay.
They came to where Chebukati is working. It's like coming to my office,
mm-hmm.
knocking, and insisting you have to see me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, clearly, Chebukati physically could not stop them. Tuju himself confessed
mm-hmm.
that he was blocked from going in because he was not an agent,
mm-hmm.
he was not an observer,
mm-hmm.
he had no role there, he was not an IEBC officer.
Okay.
He said he forced himself in.
Mm-hmm.
He went through the back door and forced himself. That's a crime right there, trespass.
Okay.
You've been told you can't come here, and you come by force.
Mm-hmm.
2, this was a very, very tense period.
Okay.
The time was very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So every minute counted. How do you go to wake up the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission
mm-hmm.
at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Who works at 3 a.m. in the morning? Yes, Chebukati is allowed to work because he has only 7 days within which to declare the results.
Mm-hmm.
But why are you trying to interfere with him so that he does not meet the deadline?
Mm-hmm.
And you go there to warn him that the country will fall apart mm-hmm. if he announces somebody else as a winner. Now, assuming Tuju was right, mm-hmm. that they were concerned about forms and they wanted to communicate this to Chebukati.
Yeah.
That is why you have agents at the Bomas of Kenya. Okay. That is why you appoint your agents in writing. Mm-hmm. Tuju was not appointed by Raila Odinga as his agent at the Bomas of Kenya. Mm-hmm. And Uhuru Kenyatta was not a candidate and mm-hmm. could not purport to send an agent. So Tuju was out of order. Tuju committed a crime. Tuju should be in jail right mm-hmm. now. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that even though he's my friend, mm-hmm. he's been a friend of mine for a long time. Okay. But here he committed a crime. Mm-hmm. His press conference was a PR exercise. Mm-hmm. Tuju is a media person who knows that the media is hungry for information. In fact, he called the media dogs mm-hmm. that must be given bones to chew on. So he was giving the media bones. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the Kenyan media, that I call Githeri media, mm-hmm. chewed on the bones and forgot that the person giving the bones is a criminal.
Okay. All right. As we are towards the tail end of this interview, there are 2 things I would like to pick from you. You mentioned about Uhuru Kenyatta and his intentions to interfere with the transition or the electoral process. Do you still believe, you've said severally that Uhuru Kenyatta doesn't want to leave power, and you've continued to say despots must fall. Do you think he has any plans to leave power? And what are the chances of him retaining power, either directly or through proxy?
So it's not me saying, my friend. Mm-hmm. Uhuru Kenyatta has said it himself. And several of his acolytes have said it. Mm-hmm. Okay, Atwoli said it, Murabe said it, all of them have said it. Mm-hmm. They have said Uhuru will not leave power. Mm-hmm. Uhuru himself said he's going nowhere. Mm-hmm. He knows he has to go somewhere, mm-hmm. and he has to leave State House. Okay. He has not spoken since the elections, mm-hmm. which means that he's still angry, he's desperate, mm-hmm. he's trying to pull strings. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for him, he must leave. There is no if or but, mm-hmm. and he will leave, whether he likes it or not. Uhuru Kenyatta is going to leave. Okay. He's going to leave State House. And the person whom Kenyans have elected will be the president and will occupy State House. So this is not something that is debatable. He may delay it like he's trying to do it through a fake, fraudulent petition after having conscripted the foreign renegades from the IEBC. But within 6 days, it will come to an end.
Okay. Within 6 days, it will come to. There's a legal question here that has come in about the evidence that have been picked from Bomas, the meetings, the videos. Are the videos and the audios admissible in the court of law, especially the Supreme Court, to sway the decision? Are they admissible as evidence?
Yes, they are. You see, CCTV cameras and video recordings are admissible. Okay. You just have to say how you got them, right? You have to satisfy the court that you've met the requirements of the Evidence Act in terms of how they were recorded and how you accessed them, and you swear that to the best of your knowledge they are authentic. So yes, they are admissible. To use audio recordings are, you can even call forensic experts to look at whether or not they have been changed. I know Tuju has been a friend of mine for more than 20 years. I know his voice. That was his voice. I know Justice Nyangaya. He's been a friend of mine. I know his voice. I know those were two people talking, people I know personally. I've worked with them. I know them personally. So there is no question in my mind that those two people were talking and Tuju was telling Nyangaya what to do and how to orchestrate chaos within IEBC.
Okay. All right, so it is admissible for those guys who have been asking it. The evidence is admissible. You come from Nyanza region.
No, but I don't think they have been submitted. I don't think these audios have been submitted.
And I think the biggest worry that Kenyans were having was, is it admissible in court? For those of us who don't know much about the court processes, most people have been asking, why are we not seeing the affidavits in terms of videos in court? So maybe we could see another affidavit coming up. It's too late already. So I don't know. Will they somehow find their way into the court of law? In the Supreme Court?
If they were to go to court, today was the day they should have asked for leave to file them.
Okay.
I didn't hear anybody ask for leave to file them. But to tell you the truth, this evidence will be live throughout because, you see, this is a criminal offense. And criminal law has no limitation period, which means you can be charged even 5 years from now. He doesn't have to be charged right now. So now Uhuru is protecting him and the others, but who knows about next week or the week after? So as far as I'm concerned, these are criminals that will be charged and must be charged.
All right. I'll give you three questions, three parting questions. One of them is you. You come from Nyanza region, and you've always complained about the issues of transition from where we have now Raila Odinga, and now it's a time that's almost exiting the scene. Do you think he has prepared enough people to take up from him? And what are the consequences in an event that he has not?
Well, first of all, Raila does not want a transition, and never did. Raila wants slaves. You know, he wants Luos to be slaves, poor, completely oppressed, and have no other way of doing anything, so that they look at him as God. But to be fair, it's not up to him to prepare transition. What he should do, which he's not doing, is to allow the organic emergence of new leaders. He has been trying to destroy everybody who has the potential of replacing him as a leader in the region. So if you emerge and you have the requisite capabilities or capacities, Raila Odinga will either try to have goons beat you up, have you physically eliminated, or like me, have you exiled by force. So that's the problem. But you know, time is a very beautiful thing. Right now, he can't stay awake for 30 minutes. So clearly, it's a passing cloud.
What are some of the mistakes that you think he made? He's winding up as weaker than he was, that he has always been. What are some of the mistakes that you think he's made then within the process of leadership?
He betrayed everybody. And then he was greedy. He has been too greedy. He has preferred money over ideological commitment. And that is why he has lost. This was Raila's election to lose. If Raila had stayed the Raila we knew, the one we built, okay? Because Raila we built, we constructed it, all right? We gave him an ideology, we gave him a platform, we then explained that platform, we disseminated that platform, we made that platform popular. I said we, the people who have been his advisors, his strategists, his communicators, we made Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga by himself is nothing. He's empty mentally, intellectually, he's empty ideologically, but we beefed him up. But instead of acting like a normal person, appreciating the fact that we all must stand on the shoulders of everybody else, once he reaches up, he starts kicking you and destroying you. You know, he starts fighting with your head and your shoulder and your entire body. So right now, everyone else he worked with, Raila has worked with Ruto, he's worked with Mudavadi, he's worked with Wetangula, he's worked with me, he's worked with Ndi, he has worked with everybody that has now made Ruto president. So he has himself to blame.
All right. Uhuru Kenyatta, just from an election that he could not be able to mobilize his background, that is central Kenya, in his own polling station, he could not even marshal a win for Azimio. What do you think are some of the strategic mistakes that Uhuru Kenyatta, or tactical mistakes that Uhuru Kenyatta has made, that he has ended up being the way he is, even when in power?
This is my last answer because I have to go.
Yes, that's your last question.
Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't think mobilized votes even in 2013 and 2017. That was done by William Ruto and others. Uhuru Kenyatta is a drunk. Okay? Uhuru Kenyatta is completely stoned throughout. He can't wake up before 11 o'clock. He can't work. He has never worked. He has not shown throughout his life that he has ability to do anything. So I don't give him credibility or I don't give him credit for anything that he has, including the power. I don't think he's the one who mobilized voters in his polling station in 2017 or 2013. It was Ruto. Although he pretends that he was. He also has a lot of money that his family stole. So what I'm saying is that his greatest undoing is that he's a tyrant. He believed that he's a king, he's a monarch. He believed that everybody is a slave, including Ruto, his deputy, who made him. Gachagua, who cleaned him up from the drinking dens. He believes that he is Lord over the Kikuyu and Kenya by extension. And the people have just shown it. You are nothing, my friend. You are a drunk.
All right. It would be unfair to end this without asking about William Ruto. Your enemy suddenly becomes friend. William Ruto is not your friend.
No. William Ruto is not my friend. And nor is he my enemy. I have opposed William Ruto on critical, principled issues.
What changed?
However, in this election, we have two choices. You either supported a tyrant and a renegade puppet who wants to continue and perpetuate tyranny, or William Ruto. Right? And many of us decided we are not going to support tyranny, we are not going to support tyrants, we are not going to support renegades, we are not going to support puppets and projects. We are going to support the son of a peasant who has worked himself up and who has mobilized a coalition that represents the face of Kenya and now represents change, no matter what anybody says about his background. So it's not about friendship. It's about principle. If we allowed Raila Odinga to become president, it would have taken us another 100 years to uproot the Kenyatta, the Odinga, and the Moi families. We couldn't afford that. Yes, so this is what they played us, and we played it back.
And you returned the game. Your closing remarks, General Miguna.
I thank Kenyans for telling these people power belongs to the people. And if they bring it again in a rerun or a runoff, teach them a lesson. All right? Viva.
Fever. Thank you. Thank you, General Miguna Miguna. Thanks for making time. We wish you could have more time with you. But as it looks and as it seems, you have other things to do. But thank you so much for making time with us. It's been a pleasure having you. We wish to have you again anytime soon. I don't know when we can have a conversation later. You tell us when we can have, probably after the ruling, we can try and have another meeting together so that we can continue unpacking these conversations. But thank you so much for continuing to speak for Kenya and continue to speak for the democratic space, even away, and also having suffered from, I mean, I don't want to describe it as much, but we really appreciate that you've continued to be the man that you've been. And thanks also for making time. We will always look forward to having you. And I'm seeing a lot of guys here asking, when are you coming back? We're looking forward to seeing you. They want to see you. Saying, Viva General. We're waiting.
Let them answer themselves, my friend. General, thank you very much. And have a good day.
Thank you. Asante sana, bye-bye. General Miguna Miguna. That was General Miguna Miguna coming in straight and live from Ontario, Canada. He's spoken his mind on the raft of issues within the country. And we wish we could continue to have more time, but the most important thing tonight was to unpack the Supreme Court ruling and to unpack the process that was, and we are looking forward to having him again after the ruling has been done. For the tacklers who have been with us, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been on fire today. It's been fire. On YouTube, I'm seeing comments are running up and up, and thank you so much for sticking in with us. And also on Facebook, I'm seeing you guys have been stuck in here as well with us. It's been a pleasure having you. We hope to have you again tomorrow on Siasa Wednesday with Justina Wamai. That is the running mate. That was Professor Wajakoya's running mate. She'll be in here tomorrow morning, to help us also understand what happened with the Roots Party. What happened? Kuliandaje? What happened? Until then, this is the Tackle, the special edition today. It's been the 30th of August 2022, and we had Daktari Miguna Miguna. You can still continue to push in any questions that you have so that we can pick it up with him. But then, you go to sleep. Bye-bye, and take care.